Good morning, friends. Well, today is a beautiful Sunday, and I hope you have a lovely day today. So, today also I've chosen a few short stories to share with you all, and I've also included a little bit of sayings here and there. So, Carlos Castaneda says, on a matter of perspective, things don't change. You change your way of looking. That's all. So basically, it's how we look at things that make something look good or something bad. So look at everything in a very positive way today. So the first short story is called The Cookie Thief, and it's by Valerie Cox. A woman was waiting at an airport one night with several long hours before her flight. She hunted for a book in the airport shop, bought a bag of cookies, and found a place to drop. She was engrossed in her book, but happened to see that the man beside her, as bold as could be, grabbed a cookie or two from the bag between, which she tried to ignore to avoid a scene. She read, munched cookies, and watched the clock as the gutsy cookie thief diminished her stock. She was getting more irritated as the minutes ticked by, thinking, if I wasn't so nice, I'd blacken his eye. With each cookie she took, he took one too. When only one was left, she wondered what he'd do. With a smile on his face and a nervous laugh, he took the last cookie and broke it in half. He offered her half as he ate the other. She snatched it from him and thought, oh brother, this guy has some nerve and he's also rude. Why, he didn't even show any gratitude. She had never known when she had been so galled, and sighed with relief when her flight was called. She gathered her belongings and headed for the gate, refusing to look back at the thieving ingrate. She boarded the plane and sank in her seat, then sought her book, which was almost complete. As she reached in her bag, she gasped with surprise. There was her bag of cookies, right in front of her eyes. If mine are here, she moaned with despair, then the others were his, and he tried to share. Too late to apologize, she realized with grief that she was the rude one. She was the cookie thief. So the other guy was just trying to be nice and share her cookies, and all the time she thought that he was stealing her cookies. So the next story is, the title says, From the Mouth of a Small Boy. This has been written by Elaine MacDonald. In 1992, my husband and I went on a friendship force exchange to Germany, where we stayed in the homes of three wonderful families. Suddenly, we were delighted when one of the couples we met in Germany came to visit us at our home in Iowa. Our friends Raymond and Tony lived in a city in the industrial Ruhr area of Germany, which had suffered heavy bombing during World War II. One evening during their week-long stay with us, my husband, who is a history teacher, invited them to tell us what they remembered about being children in Germany during the war. Raymond proceeded to tell us a story that really moved us to tears. One day, not long before the end of the war, Raymond saw two airmen parachuting out of an enemy plane that had been shot down. Like many other curious citizens who had seen the parachutists falling through the afternoon sky, 11-year-old Raymond went to the city's central square to wait for the police to arrive with the prisoners of war. Eventually, two policemen arrived with two British prisoners in tow. They would wait there in the city square for a car that would take the British airmen to a prison in a neighboring city where prisoners of war were kept. When the crowd saw the prisoners, there were angry shouts of "Kill them! Kill them!" No doubt, they were thinking of the heavy bombings their city had suffered at the hands of the British and their allies. Nor did the crowd lack the means to carry out their intent. Many of the people had been gardening when they saw the enemy fall from the sky and had brought their pitchforks, shovels, and other gardening implements with them. Raymond looked at the faces of the British prisoners. They were very young, just 19 or 20 years old. He could see that they were extremely frightened. He could also see that the two policemen whose duty it was to protect the prisoners of war were no match for the angry crowd who had pitchforks and shovels. Raymond knew he had to do something, and do it quickly. He ran to place himself between the prisoners and the crowd, turning to face the crowd and shouting to them to stop. Not wanting to hurt the little boy, the crowd held back for a moment, long enough for Raymond to tell them, "Look at these prisoners. They are just young boys. They are no different from your own sons. They are only doing what your own sons are doing, fighting for their own country. If your sons were shot down in a foreign country and became prisoners of war, you wouldn't want those people to kill your sons. So please don't hurt these boys." Raymond's fellow townsmen listened in amazement and then shame. Finally, a woman said, "It took a little boy to tell us what was right and what was wrong." The crowd slowly began to disperse. Raymond will never forget the look of tremendous relief and gratitude he saw on the faces of those young British airmen. He hopes they have long, happy lives and that they haven't forgotten the little boy who saved them. Isn't that a beautiful story? Then there is a small saying about the matter of attitude, which is written by Anton de Saint-Exupéry. The meaning of things lies not in the things themselves, but in our attitude towards them. Then there's another short story, Whiners. Whiners are basically people who are always nagging and always complaining and never happy with anything in life. So before that, there's a small saying by an anonymous person: "Fear less, hope more, whine less, breathe more, talk less, say more, hate less, love more, and all good things are yours." So the story goes as, when my grandmother was raising me in Stamps, Arkansas, she had a particular routine. When people who were known to be whiners entered her store, whenever she saw a known complainer coming, she would call me from whatever I was doing and say, "Sister, come inside, come." Of course I would obey. My grandmother would ask the customer, "How are you doing today, Brother Thomas?" And the person would reply, "Not so good." There would be a distinct whine in the voice. "Not so good today, Sister Henderson. You see, it's this summer. It's this summer heat. I just hate it. Oh, I hate it so much. It just frazzles me up, frazzles me down. I just hate the heat. It's almost killing me." Then my grandmother would stand stoically, her arms folded, and mumble, "Mm-hmm." And she would cut her eyes at me to make certain that I had heard the moan and lamentation. At another time, a whiner would say, "I hate plowing. That packed down dirt ain't got no reasoning and mules ain't got good sense. It's killing me. I can't ever seem to get it done. My feet and my hands are sore. I get dirt in my eyes. I just can't stand it." And my grandmother would say, "Uh-huh." As soon as the complainer was out of the store, my grandmother would call me to stand in front of her, and then she would say the same thing she had said 1,000 times. Did you hear what Mr. Thomas and the other lady said? You heard that? Yes, I did. Sister, there are people who went to sleep all over the world last night, both poor and rich, black and white, but they will never wake up again. Those who were expected to rise did not. Their beds became their cooling boards and their blankets their winding sheets. And those dead folk would give anything, even 5 minutes, for the lovely hot weather or for 10 minutes of ploughing. What you're supposed to do when you don't like a thing is change it. If you don't change it, change the way you think about it, but don't complain. It is said that persons have few teachable moments in lives, and Grandma seemed to have caught me at each one. I had between the ages of 3 and 13. Whining or nagging is not only graceless, but it can be dangerous. So basically, she tells us that look at, that you have another day, you have so much to do, you have so much ahead of you. So enjoy that and look at, you know, how you can make your day better and brighter and happy for yourself and everyone around you. And the last story for today is the Miracle Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge that spans the river between Manhattan and Brooklyn is simply an engineering miracle. In 1883, a creative engineer, John Roebling, was inspired by an idea for this spectacular bridge project. However, bridge building experts told him to forget it. It was just not possible. Roebling convinced his son, Washington, an up and coming engineer, that the bridge could be built. The two of them conceived the concept of how it could be accomplished and how to overcome the obstacles. Somehow they convinced bankers to finance the project. Then, with unharnessed excitement and energy, they hired their crew and began to build their dream project. The project was only a few months underway when a tragic on-site accident killed John Roebling and severely injured his son. Washington, his son, was severely brain damaged, unable to talk or walk. Everyone thought that the project would have to be scrapped, since the Roeblings were the only ones who understood how the bridge could be built. Though Washington Roebling was unable to move or talk, his mind was as sharp as ever. One day, as he lay in his hospital bed, an idea flashed in his mind as to how to develop a communication code. All he could move was one finger. So he touched the arm of his wife with that finger. He tapped out the code to communicate with her what she was to tell the engineers who continued building the bridge. For 13 years, Washington tapped out his instructions with one finger until the spectacular Brooklyn Bridge was finally completed. What a beautiful story, that you should never give up and always continue looking at life in a positive way, that things can be done, and always feel blessed with all the blessings that you have and everything that God has blessed you with. Always count your blessings. Yesterday I saw, someone had drawn this little picture and it was posted on social media. There was a line, there were two queues, and one queue said complaints and the other said gratitude. And there was a very long queue of people in the complaint section, and there was not a single person in the gratitude section. So, people, we all tend to forget what we have been blessed with, what we have, and we are always thinking about what we should have or what others have. So, let's make the queue of gratitude longer and the queue of complaints lesser. And that way we'll be happy, and every day everyone around us will be happy too. So I'll end today's audio file. Have a nice Sunday, and make do with whatever you have at home. Make something delicious and with whatever you have. There are so many recipes on my channel and on social media. So enjoy your Sunday. We are all used to having a nice Sunday lunch and dinner. But in these times, maybe we won't be able to have what we're normally used to having. But whatever little you make it with a lot of love. Get your family involved in making it and enjoy your meal together. So stay safe, stay at home, don't venture out, take care of yourself, wash your hands. If you happen to go out, come home, change your clothes, put them for wash, wash your hands, sanitize your hands, and be safe. Keep everyone in your home safe and be happy. Thank you for hearing this audio file. I'll see you in my next audio file. Bye.